Hey guys, just going to do a quick video. I have some palm, and I know some of you have wood lace, some of you have metal lace, but anyway, I'm kind of adapting two tools to work with the material that's very hard to work with. If you're going to use black palm or red palm on a wood lathe, I wouldn't do it unless you have carbide tools, or very sharp tools, and make very small cuts at a time. Anyway, what I've done is this item right here is a spur drive adapter for a jet lathe, and what it does is it goes into the wood lathe, your scroll chuck, and locks on. The problem is it's squared at the base, so you can't see that. I'll put a picture up of it later. But what I did is I turned it around and put the drive into my metal lathe headstock, and I turned that flush, so now I have something I can just put in a 3-jaw chuck as a drive spur, and then my tailstock live center in the back. And anyway, when you're cutting this, you see I've used carbide or very good sharp HSS, and when you're knocking off the corners, don't try to take too much, because what it'll do is get to a certain point and it'll jam, and this will stop, and then this will just be spinning in there. That happened to me a couple times. Anyway, new material, new learning curve. So anyway, I'll show you what we got going. And even though its corners are basically rounded now, I wouldn't try to take off more than 30 to 50 thousandths at a time, because it's so fibrous it will jam up and everything else will just spin, because you can't put too much pressure here. So what happens is it just wants to expand and split. So let me adjust my speed here. 5, 10, 15, 20, 35 thousandths. And we'll go ahead and let it go. Hopefully this won't bite. You can see the line there to the right, feeding towards the headstock right now. And every once in a while you hear a little chatter or a flat spot. That is actually loose fiber slapping. So I'm trying to remove as little as possible, or reasonably possible, each pass until I get it fairly round. Once I get it round, I can take off 1 or 2 nice smooth cuts. And then what I'll have is something that I can put into the headstock. It's round, it's going to center itself, moderate pressure on the jaws, and I can drill it, pour it out to fit a piece of briar, and use that as the cap for a calabash shape or whatever I want to do. It would be the same thing with 3/4 or 1-inch stock if you want to do something for an accent ring. So I'm not taking off a whole lot. We want to do that in inches. We're talking probably 3/32 of an inch at a time. I'll let this feed through, and then what I'll do is I'll shut off the camera, and I'll continue to do it because I'm running out of daylight. If something goes wrong, I don't want to be holding the camera in my hand and trying to grab several levers at the same time. So I'll shut this off after this feed, and then once I get it rounded, then I'll show you what I have. Take care, guys. Okay, got the light on my camera. Anyway, you can see this is a really beautiful wood, you know. And one thing, just my preference, when I start out, I use a highly tapered point, so I'm just removing a little bit of wood at a time. Otherwise it'll bind, can bind, especially on something as fibrous and tough as this. And then I go to this type of point. It's rounded, so I have a leading edge. It kind of leads, either way I go, it leads into the cut, and it gives a much smoother finish. And you can see that's freaking some awesome looking wood. And granted, the grain is going this way, so on the end it's going to be all, you're going to be looking at this part of it, so it's going to be polka dots or pig bundy, leopard skin. Okay, and I'll take a couple pics and we'll finish it.